Welcome to this exciting forum on music as a catalyst for dialogue and sustainable development, enhanced by digital technologies. I'm Hans Dorwil, former UNESCO Assistant Director General for Strategic Planning. The webinar is co-hosted by the Melody for Dialogue Among Civilizations Association and the Music Department of Northeastern University in Boston. I'm pleased to welcome all distinguished panelists to this unique event. The arts and music can contribute to a better world. The precepts of a culture of peace, the dialogue among civilizations, and the 17th Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs, agreed upon by political leaders from all countries, are a necessary first step for a real and equitable transition to a more sustainable world. Today in this webinar, we take up the question of music's role in promoting dialogue and advancing sustainability. We will hear from artists using their creative work and processes to raise awareness and spur action by the public and policymakers. We will hear from community organizers working to integrate dialogue and sustainability into educational systems and make their communities healthier. And we will hear from activists working with theaters, dance groups, and music festivals to become more responsive and sustainable by reducing their use of fossil fuels and encouraging their visitors and patrons to do the same. I invite Professor Dan Godfrey, Director of the Music Department at Northeastern University, to make his welcoming statement.
Thank you, everybody. I welcome all of you to this really important discussion today. And it's one that's particularly relevant at Northeastern University, which is why we're really delighted to co-host this event. Our university president, Joseph Owen, recently publicized his newest vision of Northeastern's future mission, which includes the idea that all programs, all coursework, everything we do at this university should ultimately be focused in some way on drilling down to identify existential problems in the world and exploring pathways to solving them. And from an artistic point of view, this compels us in the music department and all of us, I believe, as musicians, to go well beyond what many consider the values agnostic, art for art's sake ethos found in most music curricula across the US today. So on behalf of Northeastern University and our College of Arts, Media, and Design, I welcome you again, and I'm grateful to all of you, co-hosts, speakers, panelists, and audience observers for engaging with us in this quest today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dan. And so now I turn to the other co-host, Professor Mary Madashai, President of the Melody for Dialogue Among Civilizations Association, to take the floor for her welcoming statement. Mary, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Hans. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to all of you, wherever you are in the world. On behalf of the Melody for Dialogue Among Civilization Association, I wish to extend a warm welcome to you all. This is the second online discussions that we are privileged to organize, along with our partner, Northeastern University in Boston. In doing so, we also benefited today from the support of the founder and CEO of Sound Diplomacy. The main focus of this meeting is to explore the nexus between music and the environment, or more precisely, music as a sustainable development goals established by the United Nations in 2015, and to find out how much technological innovations could help advance this unique treasure of mankind. Albert Einstein once said, "If I was not a physicist, I would have probably be a musician." I still remember the wisdom shared by the then Director General of CERN, which is the European Organization for Nuclear Research, during Melody's first conference on music and environment awareness in Geneva. It was in 2009. He said, "The Melody for Dialogue Association has much in common with a movement that contributed to the foundation of my lab 55 years ago. The movement was called Atom for Peace. This is what Atom and Melody have in common, creating peace and dialogue." He was, as all of us are, a great believer that music is among the artistic approaches that can be used in science, environmental issues, climate change, and education, since it provides a powerful platform for delivering messages and for receiving them. I hope that our messages cut across the globe and will help to bestow on music a deserving role as a catalyst and advocate for a more sustainable world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary. Before launching our first panel, let me share with you the message we have received from Maestro Tan Dun, hailing from China. He's a worldwide acclaimed composer and an Oscar winner at that, and a conductor of his own and other works. He's also a widely recognized teacher and educator as head of Bard College and a Goodwill Ambassador of UNESCO for water.
Hello, I'm composer and conductor Tan Dun. I'm honored to be invited to briefly share my thoughts on how music can bring people together and create positive changes in our environment. Every time when I travel around the world, I feel it's very difficult to find clean water. Everywhere is almost polluted. I hope this forum at Northeast University helps bring to light our new mission in the world to protect it and from ourselves. Thank you so much.
I think we are all surely appreciative for the moving presentation of Maestro Tan Dun and his love and his commitment to water. Music is a powerful agent of social change. It can reach millions of people, raising awareness of social, economic, and environmental challenges at the core of the SDGs. There's growing recognition by many within the environmental movement and other concerned sectors that art and culture have a special function to play as an accelerator. Through its ability to reach people on the level of emotions and beliefs, provide new ways of seeing problems, and develop creative solutions. And now the first panelist of our co-host, Mary Madashai, who will deliver the keynote for this panel.
Thank you, Hans. Today, I wish to start with ecological crisis, which indeed is a sobering experience for mankind. Culture and the arts play a role that should not be underestimated in a comprehensive strategy to integrate awareness, sustainability into all citizens. We aim in this forum to promote the use of music as a tool for environmental education. Music programs are already being used to promote peace and development. They should equally be integrated into the sustainable development and focus on well-targeted advocacy and social mobilization. If we are to achieve the goals set out by the UN SDGs, we must focus on utilizing all tools available. Explicit within the SDGs is a mandate that we begin to encourage global partnership for development. To create a true partnership, there must be a willingness to work in interdisciplinary teams and on multiple levels. As an extremely powerful tool, the United Nations, government, and all entities working towards the achievement of these goals should effectively use music. Having said that, And having said what I said, I wish to illustrate the power of music in the following video that is sponsored by Rolex and played often on CNN. As you will witness, we will demonstrate how a brief musical composition accompanied by visual messages can illustrate our message today far more effectively than thousands of words.
We share this place, we all belong.
Nature as a provider for housing and resources has a strong connection with music, which is common language for all of us. Now it's our responsibility to find solutions and carry them into action. And in doing so, we should remember and remind people also of this at every available opportunity. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and wisdom today. I wish also to thank to all those who have decided to follow and listen to the discussions at this webinar. I hope that our messages cut across the globe and will help to bestow on music a deserving role as a catalyst and advocate for a more sustainable world. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mary, for this linkage between the sustainable development, culture, and then music. So now I'm turning to the panelists on this first exchange, and it's my great pleasure to invite Kim Noltemi, the Ross Perot President and CEO of the Dallas Symphony Association. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Large American orchestras, for those of you who don't know, are set up in a very different model than the European model, which is more focused on government funding. So we have to fundraise. And as such, I think we have not, as a group, focused on the environmental issues in the way we should have. Before I was at the Dallas Symphony, spent 21 years at the Boston Symphony. And I can say that orchestra did focus on the idea of becoming carbon neutral and going so far as to do research on having 2 wind turbines that they put up on their land in the western part of Massachusetts, where the Tanglewood facility is located, to be able to take that energy and put it into the grid and offset with the energy that was being used there. But one thing many of the orchestras across the United States have done, and the Dallas Symphony is no exception, is the social justice component. We believe strongly in the power and the importance of music, and we want to make sure that the younger generations have the opportunity to be able to play music, hear music. And all of us have invested millions of dollars in this effort. In Dallas, we started a program called Young Musicians, and that program was designed to have children playing instruments at an early age in an ensemble. And in Dallas, we went forward with the program in an area of Dallas that is a very poor area, and it has many, many students in need on every level. And I will say that the information that we've received from the principals of the school and their teachers has demonstrated a significant change in their educational results. They're basically doing better in school, and they are actually excited to go to school and be part of school, because when they are in the after school program, they get their music and their fun and their family, their new family.
Thank you so much, Kim. I think you covered both your long experience in Boston and your new experience in Dallas. Now let us go to the next speaker, Jorge Chaminé. He's the founding chairman of the European Music Center, and he was an opera singer, a baritone. You will hear it at the powerful voice which he brings to us now in his presentation. Jorge, you have the floor.
Good morning, good evening, and good night to everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I want to believe without innocence or utopia that the time has come to include music and culture as fundamental actor of the living together and of a new paradigm of sustainable development. Next to the Domaine des Frênes and in front of the House of Bizet, we wanted to give a future to this glorious past on wasteland that will see the birth of an eco-responsible cultural district reaching 13 of the 17 SDGs of the United Nations 2030 agenda. The CEM, Centre Européen de Musique, European Music Center, becomes a cultural, artistic, research, innovative, intergenerational, touristic, and economic dialogue actor, all at the same time as music is in all things. The new buildings of the CEM will be a unique architectural and urban planning approach, a research laboratory music brain, a transdisciplinary research institute. If we don't build this alliance between culture and economy, not an ornamental or entertainment culture, but the very essence of the human being, we will have no excuses. This is so necessary passage from the economic man to the artistic one, the one who, grateful, will respect nature and the essence of himself. Music is a gift. The whole universe is a gift. Let's be finally responsible of this to try to give to our descendants a better world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this very philosophical end which you brought to that. And I think this is just the beginning of a broad-based conversation in this direction. So let me turn now to Edna dos Santos Duesenberg, who is an international policy advisor on creative economies and creative development, and who has also a long-standing history with UNCTAD and the creative economy. Edna, you have the floor.
Well, I thank you very much for the invitation. Everywhere in the world, music is really universal idiom. So initially, I want to reflect on the importance of music in this intercultural dialogue, because everywhere in the world, music, it's the universal idiom. In terms of the relation between music and digitalization, digital technologies and internet have changed the way music is created, produced, reproduced, commercialized, and consumed worldwide. Thanks to digitalization, local music can reach global audiences almost instantaneously, democratizing market access by younger generations. So new business models for music distribution are shaping new ways of monetization for digitalized music content and online shows. This very innovative way of streaming accounted for 55% of the music last year, and it continued to grow in 2021. While more music is consumed worldwide, particularly by youth, the earnings of the great majority of songwriters, producers, and performers have been declining. So we have to re-examine what is called the fair use and the free music practice. We have to ensure that songwriters, singers, and musicians, particularly from developing countries, can retain greater control of their music and make a better use of modern digital tools to access local and global markets. So these are some of the reflections I would like to share today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Edna, for this very profound reflection about many of the dimensions of the theme which we are addressing. So I would suggest the following, that we are playing now a video from Emmett Price, who was the inaugural Dean of Africana Studies at Berklee College of Music.
Good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. Perhaps good morning. I'm Emmett Price, the inaugural Dean of Africana Studies here at Berklee College of Music, and it's a great joy to be with you in this very significant webinar of distinguished panelists, keynotes, and responders. I think it's essential that in this moment in the world's history that we really talk about global dialogue, sustainable development, and the role that music plays within that. If we think about how we learn to communicate with one another effectively, whether it's through the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s or constructing sentences and paragraphs and phrases, we've learned that through music. We've learned how to understand individuals' responses to what we say in ways of thinking about our phrasing, our breathing. When you think about de-escalation techniques, it essentially is breathing. And so that's one of the things that we as musicians understand better than anyone. We have sung our songs of lament. We have pleaded through our blues. We have shared great vision through our creative improvisation. And I believe, as do many of you, that through our creative prowess, through the understanding of the power that we have, that we can end poverty, that we can end food insecurity, that we can end gender and ethnic and racial and national discrimination, that we can end racism, that we can end the great majority of isms, those things that break us apart rather than bind us together. Let's make a better world because we agree that we deserve and desire to live in a better world. And let's do it by singing it one note at a time. Thanks again for having me. What a great joy it is to be with you. And I wish you a phenomenal continuation of this dynamic webinar. Be well.
Collective thanks to Emmett Price III and for his so true commendation of the role which music can play in our life and which it has played in many political situations. So I would turn over now to Pierre Corsilius, the director of the Pôle Art et Culture of the Collège des Bernardins in Paris, to take over as moderator.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. I'm very happy to be part of this exciting day. We're going to share about music as a catalyst for everything, basically. From my point of view, you see that I speak to you from the Middle Ages, from the old abbey, the Bernardin, here in the center of Paris, across from Notre Dame. And curiously enough, is that a place to imagine environmental issues or issues about catalyzing people? Certainly the monks did that in the past, but it happens that for the whole fall this year, our main focus will be environmental issues. So from this point of view, I would be happy to hand over the floor to Rainer Kern. Rainer Kern, who will be the representative here from Mannheim. You are artistic director of the Jazz Festival, but also you're an ambassador basically for the city of Mannheim and a consultant. So the floor is yours.
So let's start with my beautiful example. It is about Mannheim. The industrial city needed a post-industrial perspective. I'll start here in the town hall. That's the picture that you see here. The then vice mayor for culture, Peter Kurz, who is now the executive mayor, had a vision from which he developed a strategy that was implemented together with a coalition of business, civil society, university, and other educational institutions, the artistic scene, and the city administration. So here you can see Germany's first and still only startup center for the music industry. It was built at the time. It's called the Music Park. Then after this, a creative hub was built, which is called C-Hub. So in participatory art is the key word here. We have a Mannheim Agenda 2030, which is the local adoption of the SDGs. We did that through a huge participatory process over 1 year. And we have, since last year, a Mannheim local Green Deal. And we signed a contract with the European Union, in addition to the European Green Deal. But the starting point of all that was and is always music in all its facets and different levels. Many talk about the multiple crises, like climate crisis and the pandemic, but also inequity. And you have more of them. It's a multiple crisis where we are in. And yet there are more. But let's take the climate catastrophe as an example. What I want to say, in 2019, before the pandemic, all internet streaming services together produced more carbon than all flights worldwide in that year, pre-pandemic. We have to pay attention to things like that. Art and music always react to changing circumstances. And that's why I think we have to take over our advantage of this time now and become more powerful on the policy level also. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rainer, for this extremely motivating presentation. I turn now to Kajun Wong. You are a young conductor and conducting all over the world. So the floor is yours, Kajun.
And in 2016, I was very, very lucky to have won the Gustav Mahler conducting competition, which gave me the opportunity to get to know Marina Mahler, the granddaughter of Gustav Mahler. So we founded Project Infinitude together, an inclusive movement for children from under-resourced backgrounds. And our vision has been to nurture a whole generation of music lovers who listen to the beauty in art, in addition to other unique and diverse voices in our shared community. We really want to encourage children from all walks of life to believe that they deserve to enjoy music, regardless of their background. And so in 2018, together with the German Embassy in Singapore, my orchestra, the Nürnberger Sinfoniker, and I launched an annual project entitled Beethoven im Garten. So musicians from the Nürnberger Sinfoniker would play side by side with the students of the Instituto Conservatoire of Music in Singapore. We play a Beethoven symphony together and culminating in a nationwide community concert that is supported by the National Arts Council at the Botanic Gardens to thousands of audiences, many of them attending a live music event for the very first time. So this was really special because performing the pastoral in a pastoral setting, however cliche that would sound, was actually really magical when experienced live in person. I mean, how beautiful it was, music resonating with nature, and of course then resonating with the hearts of our audiences. And the children that I worked with as part of Project Infinitude, which was the first part of my speech, they came to the concert fully prepared. They have spent months listening to each movement and thinking of what the music would mean to them. And so after the concert, they started expressing their thoughts as creative artwork. So hopefully the little things that we do as musicians would slowly but surely inspire the next generation to treasure the beauty of nature and of life.
Thank you very much, Kachum. This is a very moving presentation.